Tribe Gaming versus Team ELEKTROS. Again, the old guard plus Diego Gamer that has had his breakout year last year, now also coming in with a lot of experience. Not quite made it to Worlds though. This could be his year already.
You could say, though, he did make it to Worlds, just was stopped at the last moment by some unfortunate circumstances. Now he has his eyes set on the prize once again, but still, I think they're just taking it one step at a time. I mentioned this earlier. When he was asked about what his goals are, where he sees himself, he says that he sees himself in the grand finals every single monthly final, but he didn't necessarily comment on whether he would win it or not, which I think is like low-key grounded of him to say. I digress. It's the first pick for Team ELEKTROS. They've led with Nani here on Shooting Star, probably the best thing that you can lead with.
I definitely agree. Nani, Tick, and Piper used to be the best brawlers on Shooting Star before draft happened. I know that because Kenny, the old guy, told me. Nani actually the first pick here. And for once, Tribe Gaming doesn't ban out Spike. Probably not one of the best brawlers on Shooting Star. Spike you can play in every single map and mode at the moment, but we have some more common brawlers. Kaze always picked up to just go for that blue star in mid. When you have the lead, you can just lean back, farm your supers, go back to spawn, and the other team has to push you. Kaze already picked up, probably gonna come in with a Gus maybe to support her a little.
There's the Gene. Reddy and I were kind of looking at the notes there. It just felt like it was coming. On this map in particular, it's really interesting to see the layout of first overall picks now, because you almost have to be ready for anti-sharpshooter. And I think that's partially why Nani goes in first overall. It's not an S-tier brawler in the game, that's no secret. But on the other end, they decide to zag because they see that Nani, and Gene in particular, has a solid matchup into Nani, and is also the same concept of an anti-sharpshooter with the poke damage, the magic puffs, which can preserve teammates, and they go aggro with that as well alongside the Kaze. I think this is a great 2-3 turn.
I really do think so as well. Like, how often are you given pretty much the perfect defensive setup and the last pick too at that? You're going to be going for the blue star with Kaze, dashing forward, grabbing it, then playing defense. Gene is such a good brawler here that he's often deserving of a ban even, so it does raise an eyebrow for me that Team ELEKTROS decide to basically give this to Tribe for free, also left it open for themselves. Maybe they just expected that it would be banned since it's such a solid first selection. A defensive 8-bit from Team ELEKTROS is very interesting. Usually he soaks up a lot of shots from sharpshooters, and I think the mentality here for Team ELEKTROS is that Tribe has not led with any sharpshooters so far, so they're not really concerned about what this 8-bit will face. You see Bell is banned, and so is Piper, two of the best things in 8-bit.
We have two aggressors on either side, so maybe a bit more rangy now from the side of Tribe Gaming. Byron technically still left open. Gus, I mentioned before, they already addressed the Nani.
Enjoy your
And Byron
treat.
is going to come out indeed. They need something to support the Kaze. Like I kind of said in the beginning, Gene is there to just directly counter that return to sender gadget from the Nani. Then we have 8-bit with a lot of DPS, and that's why they need some heals now for Kaze. They want to pick up the blue star. Who's actually quicker, Kaze or Mina?
Kaze.
I would say Kaze too, off the gut reaction. It's really interesting, two contrasting teams here. One of the most historic orgs North America has ever seen. 4 of 6 grand finals wins last month. On the other side, new blood for North America. High expectations. They got through their first opponent, Tribe Gaming, a whole nother level.
This one could go either way. We were so confident in our selections for the quarterfinals, but this is where it gets hairy. The new guys versus the old guys. We'll see Tribe Gaming swiftly snag that blue star before hopping on the defensive. Luffy now changing forms also to try and dash away. It's a kill from him, and Luffy gets the kill, and he has a super to get out of the way if necessary. Decides not to change forms, goes for the kill, but instead is killed in turn. It's a TP away for Snoy. Note that he is running plugged in here, so that he fares better in that sharpshooter matchup versus RBM specifically.
Having that teleport at your disposal is really nice, because if they get a lead, they can just back off and play defense. Bounty is passive-aggressive at a professional level. Once they get a lead, you're going to hear Coach Pedro talk about it later on. They're not going to necessarily be onslaughting the other team. They're going to look for a lead, hold onto it. They don't want to back off yet. Team ELEKTROS aren't in their spawn, but Tribe Gamer are doing a good job of pushing them forward. That's going to be the ultimate goal.
You do want to press these guys against the back wall like a hydraulic press, right? Squeeze all the stars out of them, but the further back they get, the stronger their position becomes with 8-bit specifically. Now that he has a solid place to place down this turret, RBM could just chuck this Chug Jug over the wall and go for the kill on that booster. Instead, gets it done with a normal attack. Meanwhile, Luffy is deep in enemy territory, avoided an attack, but still, it feels like his Sate is field. Did manage to get a trade out of that somehow, but in the end, it puts Team ELEKTROS in the lead by 1 star and a blue one.
I'm surprised they even got a trade out of that. It felt like Luffy was going in, but didn't have RBM there for backup. And so Memon recognizes this, goes for the kill on the other end. Thankfully, Kaze was able to do a little bit of work or at least set them up. But the one thing that Team ELEKTROS have to look out for in the closing seconds, a Diego Gamer pull.
13 seconds to go. Just a spare amount of time to win it. RBM has his hypercharged super in hand. That is his ticket to victory. Doan really needs that super. There's the pull. Another one on Memon could do it. 13-10. In the final seconds, one more kill comes in onto RBM. It's game 1 to Team ELEKTROS. And really, one game is all I need to see to know that this is going to be an excellent match.
I think there is a real potential that these are the top 2 teams for the entire region as the year progresses. I'm buying into the T hype train. I can't lie. I mean, for Matcherinos, a lot of scrims I've watched from North America specifically, and it's just a gut feeling. It's the eye test. And I listened to somebody like Snowy talk about draft strategy and things like that. They just get it. There's no lacks in knowledge. It doesn't feel like the nerves are really getting to them right now. They're tried, tested, a lot of work to go, but clearly they're built for this moment.
It is something that they have forged through constant competition. They just love it. They live in it. They savor the moments where you have to fight your heart out to win. And it's showing here. But Team ELEKTROS are actually at a 1-star deficit. This is the same situation as last time. You know that the Blue Star is going to head to Tribe Gaming. But for it to be handed over to Team ELEKTROS like that, the way that they play so aggressively and now elegantly fall back to defense. You see Snowy is also equipped with his super now. He'll find the ideal place to put it. Looks like the back right. Not really a bad spot either because Luffy would love to be in that position. Now it's easy for 8-bit to teleport over there to flush him out.
Team ELEKTROS head for the hills, but they don't mind bunkering down, especially with an 8-bit turret that they're all going to be revolving around. Doan on this right-hand side as the 9 will deal some serious damage. Look at that RBM nearly evaporated with just one shot. Not even a full Nani shot at that. Windmill going down. Tornado to kick him up in the air. Diego Gamer wants a trade, though. This seems like a bold call. Snowy there to back him up as well. A gadget out of Diego Gamer. Not enough. Tribe Gaming finally get a kill, but it's still a 5-star deficit.
Diego was hung out to dry on the left side. As Gene, you need a teammate near you, but he was completely alone, and look how safe Snowy is at the moment. He can TP away, he can avoid a Gene pull. The same goes for Mem, and just not really good targets for Diego Gamer. All of a sudden, this defense has become an offense. Make it 1 kill for Memon, and he's looking for 2. RBM is looking a little threatening, though, and with Luffy closing in from the left, it's just no good. 15 seconds to move. Team ELEKTROS with a 7-star lead.
RBM's been pumping Luffy with heals, and now they have to make it count. A couple taps at TP away. Memon can expand. They know they've got this in the bag if they just hold on. Return to Cinder coming out of the top-hand side. Need a pull, but it's onto the wrong object. Another benefit of running that 8-bit in TE. Clear out Tribe Gaming in set number 1.
Gosh, almost looked like there was not a point in Tribe Gaming resisting because their strategy of get that blue star, then play defensive, it didn't work either time. It didn't work at all, maybe for like 15 seconds, but at that point I say no, there's no function there. Get the blue star with Kaze, run away, try and get a Gene pull. When you do get a Gene pull, doesn't work out because you have 2 targets that are suboptimal to pull, and that's to be expected when Gene's picked up early on in the draft. It's supposed to influence the draft in a way that benefits your defensive play style, but it was completely shrugged off by Team ELEKTROS.
Really solid showing, and to add on as well, in terms of the strategy, 8-bit we've seen a handful of times this weekend, but on Bounty, on Shooting Star specifically, I feel like this is a really good callback from them. It's even piling up 6 kills there. Doan, of course, doing DPS. I think it's safe to say he was involved with that set. Memon with 8 as the aggro brawler. A lot of the times, that's his role on the team. He is usually the designated Mino when they're playing jobs like this. I think the fact that they are able to win this with a little unconventional strategy and the mechanics look good, it's only the first set. I'm immediately nervous for Tribe.
Also, just this draft, this strategy, it's a head scratcher for me because it's so difficult to pick apart. The first pick was not the difference in the way that it was a DPS difference or a kill difference, because you saw it's actually relatively the same between the Gene and the Nanny. It didn't mean too much to give it the Gene just from kills and deaths. It really came down to how the rest of the draft formed around it. That's so nebulous. It's so difficult to understand, but clearly Team ELEKTROS understand this game on a different level. Perhaps, and I guess we'll unravel this as the day progresses on, better than Tribe?
Man, that would be quite something. I mean, opening month, you could hear it in the interview as well, but he said, we knew we're good, but how good is good compared to somebody that's won 4 of 6 monthly finals last year, that has a lot of history in this region, that picks up Diego Gamer, who was a breakout star last season, and they're showing off here early. Have yet to drop a set in our monthly finals so far, and I think if they get through this hurdle as well, we'll be very deserving of it. I mean, Vatic are no slouches, and they still swept them in a 3-0 fashion. Tribe Gaming are not going to go down quietly, though. They've been in this spot before. They are a team that has been pressured many a times. I know that the ceiling is very high for them, but I think they know it too. Last year didn't go the way they thought it would. 4 of 6 monthly finals in their home region. Brawl Cup, devastating results. And then they get to the World Final stage, and especially in hindsight now, it doesn't feel nearly as bad, but to lose to Crazy Raccoon in the same fashion back-to-back years, to lose to the second place team in Humble, you can hold your head up high, but for a team losing to that quality of level, to not even make it to something like a day 3 has to hurt.
Yeah, in hindsight, exclusively does it hurt less, okay? Because Crazy Raccoon, of course, eventually wound up winning the World Finals last year. But in the moment, you see a team that sort of limped into the Last Chance qualifier. They made it out by the skin of their teeth and then go to the World Finals to beat your front runners from North America. Doesn't make you feel too great about your home region, I'll tell you from personal experience. Tribe Gaming, however, yes, I do genuinely think that the Brawl Cup was sort of the beginning of the doubt starting to pool and form in our minds. And unfortunately seems to have extended into this year. Is it just their misfortune of facing Team ELEKTROS here in the semifinals? Because roll the dice, it could have happened on the opposite side of the bracket.
Mental hurdle they'll have to overcome, and it was enough to justify in their minds a swap from Zeus to Diego Gamer. Now as we enter double swoosh, IMS is always a must ban for me. If you don't have that first overall selection, it's gotta go. You've seen Team ELEKTROS eliminate that immediately. Their flex ones, though, are going to be Mortis and Spike. A couple brawlers showing up frequently. On the other end, if you have that first overall pick, typically you're setting yourself up or you're removing objects in the 2-3 turn that you don't want to see your first overall pick play.
It's very true. Also have to keep that last pick in consideration. What do you want to play? Well, Tribe Gaming have that first pick. They're going to be getting rid of Tara. Interestingly, they just don't want to play it. They don't want to be forced to play this as a first pick. Pretty interesting thought there. We'll see also, of course, M's banned by Team ELEKTROS. It's just this must play if it's available. It had a 100% win rate. That's absolutely insane. Was that in your notes, Kenny? Because it wasn't in mine.
Nope. Once again, 8-bit last round. Kit this time is an assassin of choice that I did not anticipate. Something like a Poco mid has been more traditional here. Janet, I'm curious what they pair this with because Kit naturally doesn't show up a ton on this map. Sandy was one that I was curious if they were going to pull the trigger on because sometimes you'll see teams go Crow and then it grants them immediate vision every time you pop that Sandstorm. It seems like that's something T are not worried about.
Okay. And I feel like the response to Kit, there are a few ways to do it. It's not always exactly clear. You want to have close range capabilities. You need to also have something that does a bunch of DPS in case he latches on to someone else. In Double Swoosh, you do have 3 lanes to play, so there's not really a whole lot of flexibility. This is going to be a real pain for Tribe Gaming to deal with. I don't know if they really saw this ahead of time. That's the Doug, and that's the response. If Kit jumps on you, guess what? You got some extra mustard to put on that next attack. I think it does what? Doesn't it do like 5,000 damage?
Yeah,
it's something absurd for Doug. You can also toss the hot dog to someone who gets jumped by the Kit too.
So this is interesting that they go Kit this early on because I think if you're the left-hand side and you're looking at this, you can either beef up or go really anti-aggro. Something like a Chester would be a unique one if you just wanted to shut down the Kit. Kit's mainly going to be here, I'm guessing, because of the invisibility, the vision, and then obviously can pounce on an enemy. Now that they've picked Doug, though, like you alluded to, that's significantly more difficult. Wow, they just doubled down on this as well. So Daryl going to be a little hybrid of beefiness, but also can roll at an enemy too if he needs to get a takeaway. This is insanely unorthodox for a team like Tribe Gaming that have been around for a long time, that are coveted for their drafts. This is one that I never would have predicted.
Otis is wide open. Like, something standard is totally possible and
Shelly,
even
maybe
recommended here. Shelly could, be incredible against both Doug and against Daryl. You would be opening up the map and maybe hurting your teammates just a little bit, but Kit gets his super for free. Sandy's bound to get something. Shelly's an excellent call-out because you're going to be hard countering both that Daryl and the Doug. Not an excellent matchup against the Crow, but guess what? You're going to be staying far away from that. Crow's going to probably play. Well, actually, could play mid here. Honestly, with a Doug in the mix, I begin to question everything I know about Brawlstars. Let's just be fair.
Yeah, it's just unique. I mean, if TE win this set, it will be the ultimate flex. They picked Kit I mean, the opening of their draft, it's a 2-3 turn. They didn't even try to hide it. They telegraphed it. They told Tribe Gaming straight to their faces what they wanted. We'll have to see if these Wizards know what they're doing in the draft. It has to perform on the field ultimately. Tribe Gaming doubling down on these tanky options. Shotgun Brawler for RBM on that left-hand side. He is the main man in North America on those tanks. Luffy in the middle of the map, assisted by Diego Gamer. Wow, the Shotgun Brawler immediately eradicated.
RBM towards mid will claim a life, but not those gems that he wanted. And Snoy is fed 3 more attacks, and just like that, he mathed it out, knew what to go for, popped that Sandstorm down, and here comes the Resurrection. RBM back up for more, looks for 1, knows that he's not going to get 2, but gets a little bit of damage in anyway. Doan in close range will eradicate yet another, but Luffy is here to try and hold on to the control. Oh no, but he doesn't know that Memen's on the left lane. Does RBM know to check for him? Okay, Memen, you're trigger happy, bro. Just thought that RBM was going to be a little bit faster. The Resurrection on the right side once more. Diego Gamer is back up and running again, but it's not really helping the team.
I think the fact that Memen even got a trade there is wild, but Diego Gamer immediately just walks him down. Doan gets a kill, slides out, low HP. Gonna be trickling down to that crow damage, but will escape. Memen unfortunately has to grab a gem there as well, so now they're dispersed between teammates. Tribe Gaming with all this grass and vision gets a little trickier for them, but I think if they just play as a full team, they're gonna be just fine.
Here's a speed in the brief mute from Snoy with his hypercharged super. Memen claims 1 life, and now TE are all up in the bushes, and all of a sudden, wait, where'd the bushes go? Well, they were all exploded by Shelly's super. Here comes another Resurrection. RBM is going to be nice and healthy for a hypercharge roll backlines. 1 stun, 2 stun. And a blue move back into mid. Luffy has his hypercharge and super ready. He'll be able to escape if necessary. Look how quickly the supers are being fed to Snoy as well. Tribe Gaming can buy their time just a little bit here before they move in. Team ELEKTROS are about to start this countdown, and they have all the space in the world.
Outside of Shelly, the paper matchups are fine, but they are super feeders. It's way too easy for Team ELEKTROS to feed off of this, and now Memen can just be a full-on bodyguard. Tribe Gaming have no mobility. If RBM doesn't have a super, it's going to be left to Luffy just popping a super here. That's exactly what he does. Purple button goes down with 7 stars on his noggin. He's going to have to dive in. A few gems being exchanged, and TE make light work of that. It was back and forth the whole way, but as that progressed, it really felt like TE were clawing their way back and just having a huge vice grip on the middle.
You have 2 tanks into a Sandy. What are you going to do about the Sandy? Well, you're going to be feeding it 1 super after the next, and they weren't even like subtle about it. They weren't even trying to avoid it because it's honestly a waste of effort to make any sort of attempt at that. Team ELEKTROS were getting Sandy supers every 5 hits. RBM is being a bit more conservative about this. Look at Diego Gamer, the way he advances into the right side. But any sort of stun leaves an open opportunity for Snoy to go and grab a few shots. Just 1 more gets him his super. And there it is, the first bit of control for Team ELEKTROS on mid, but they only have 1 brawler left, so they're going to have to play this cautiously.
Oh, rather than play the mid, Doan just gets so bright in the face, has had an extra life as well. Great reactions out of RBM, one of the best tank players in the entire world, doing a great job making sure they protect their home side. Now Diego Gamer has the gems in his pocket. I think that's okay for them as well. As long as RBM can stay aggressive, it's a good thing. Doan, though, has a hypercharge available. Pops right out. Doesn't get the contact, though. Tribe Gaming dominant so far in this game. They're just not relenting any position.
Team ELEKTROS may be a little too caffeinated right now because they're trigger happy on a couple of abilities that I saw so far. It was the Shelly super most recently. And gosh, just not really what we wanted to see. But here comes an aggressive move. Snoy going to charge him with a hypercharge and a hypercharge super down. Will assist Doan in getting forward, gets him that speed, but he doesn't really want to move past RBM. So hastily, we'll see a kill from RBM. Make it 2. Memen now looking for the stun onto Diego Gamer, but a plain old hypercharge super to the sky from Diego Gamer interrupts the winning streak. Tribe Gaming get their game, and they will stall out the second set. It looked like it was going to be a steamroll for Team ELEKTROS, if I'm being honest. Now, we've come to a halt.
Completely different outcome in game number 2, and I think you saw the exposure of something like a kit that early on. In the draft, these are unique brawlers, but very targeted at dealing with that kit. It almost feels like Team ELEKTROS' comp got exposed for possibly being too cute there. Obviously, they won the first game, but you know, and the second one, it didn't go their way. Tribe now have had a game of adjustments. This could be over for TE. It's going to require a lot of hard work and great skill to come out of this on top.
No, they don't really want to kill Diego Gamer. Oh, Snoy once again just too early. They got to slow down a little bit, and maybe that's mentality from Tribe Gaming. Bring things back to their pace. That was not the intended target. They really wanted to get upon the nearly resurrecting enemy. I'll say it again, trigger happy. Too many times anticipating things too early. As a result, Team ELEKTROS only have 1 gem so far. They can get another, just need to be aware of where RBM is. That's the stun they wanted onto RBM. Free super for Doan, but not soon enough. RBM escaped with his life only narrowly, gets that gem back into possession of Luffy. But as has been the issue for the entire set so far, Tribe Gaming are feeding so many Doug hypercharges as well as Team ELEKTROS' Sandy supers.
Somehow Team ELEKTROS are still in this. Now Memon diving in on the other side, takes all of the gems. They've been ransacked! Team ELEKTROS with a heist, and Memon just has to hold back, though. The aggressive brawler can no longer be that. Snowy gonna have to drop a hypercharge here. RBM skating up the map. All the invisibility, providing coverage for Team ELEKTROS as a buck blast goes down. Luffy dives in. TE team play, gets the elimination, and somehow the kit on double swoosh is a winner. Unreal from the Youngbloods.
That is the face of someone who kind of can't believe that he's beating the Tribe Gaming right now. They have that confidence, that swagger, and also just like the experience by this point to know that they really can't take anyone here. But man, that's a contagious smile right there from Snowy, because you heard in the interview they like didn't know they were this good. I mean, they knew that they showed up in one match arenas. They know that they'd beaten some top teams when the top teams swore that they like weren't giving 100%, but secretly were. And now they're one set off of a grand finals.
And we mentioned it before, they have won against Tribe before in a match arena, so maybe even Tribe didn't really feel like this is an opponent they have to take serious. Match arenas is something completely different. Scrims as well from an actual monthly final. And they're surprised by themselves. I'm not too much, honestly. I looked at their scrim results. I saw what happened in EMEA with Guesty, and I actually put them down as my winners overall of today in my event website predictions. By the way, if you haven't logged in your predictions yet, event.brawlstars.com, you still have some time. RBM and Luffy here on the most kills. But once again, it's not about kills. The objective is to pick up those gems, and Tribe really fought hard. Once again, a very close battle. Tribe just came short a little bit.
I can't wait for pro players around the world to break down what we just saw, because I want to know what the influence of the kit was. It's something that I really haven't seen scrimmed anywhere, and as somebody that's watched some very talented players in this region go at it for a little bit here, never on my radar. Not one time have I seen that, and it still made it work. Despite how scrappy of a set that was, I think Team ELEKTROS are pretty darn happy that they got away with that there. Tribe Gaming got to be kicking themselves.
And I think, Kenny, you put it perfectly before. You said Team ELEKTROS, they grew up with Brawlstars in the draft era. They never had a different Brawlstars in their hands. And yeah, they're quite literally Brawlstars kids that now grown into age, finally 16, to compete in the monthly finals.
That's right.
and this Brawlstars school has taught them just how to play super aggressively. They don't really have a care in the world, going in super aggressively again and again. Bringing us some new ideas in the draft as well with this kid you mentioned, and that's exactly how you win in 2026.
When the prime years of your life are spent mashing the buttons and picking the correct brawlers,
Best choice.
Yes, is the best preparation for competitive Brawl Stars. Let's break down this draft so far, Kenny. You see Team ELEKTROS with the first selection of Spike. I believe this is the second time that they've first selected Spike over here, just saw it a moment ago. And it's the correct selection, I think. Now, in terms of responding to the spike, something like a Colonel Ruffs, I think, has been a popular response to it because you can block those spikes pretty well. You can also break down some of the walls, get up close and personal. That's for a different purpose, of course, if you want to bring in some anti-thrower action.
I think this map is really interesting because you have to be ready to go anti-tank / aggro off the rip. And that's why Spike is going to be such a popular first overall pick here, especially in this situation. I think a lot of pro players would have made the exact same move. So now that they've established that, they can be a little more flexible in what they do at the 4-5 turn. If you're Tribe Gaming, though, and you're willing to pick Frank this early, you have to be able to back it up. So stripping something like an Otis away from Team ELEKTROS, I think is a good call.
I kind of saw that Otis on the other side. Honestly, you have to pick something to address this Frank now. Yes, you already have to Spike, and honestly, Tribe Gaming, we've seen it in the quarterfinals, they had Spike banned out in every single map they played. Now finally left open, Team ELEKTROS is gonna immediately pick him up. It's a super good brawler in a map like this one where it's all about holding on to mid control. Mina would be one of those brawlers that I kind of expect to come in here as she's not banned out, and she is usually. Max is gonna come in for the second time for Team ELEKTROS. They're a huge fan of this brawler.
They like it. They love the speed is really the big thing. They like how it can enable a tank, and I think that's what they have in their mind because look at what they banned. Got rid of that Shelly. That's one of the most popular last picks because it can be countered in a pretty straightforward way if you go with it too early. So the next selection, something that synergizes with the Max, you wouldn't just pick it by itself. Also, like, pretty decent for scouting the mid. Probably going to be bringing up some vision gear. Mo's going to be well equipped for that as well. So now you know that you can take this Mo, you can super to the other side. There's not going to be a Shelly waiting for you on the other end.
Mo is one I was kind of looking out for there. I think just the ability to have such a goal-scoring opportunity, and now you're empowered by the super speed. It also does insane damage. I mean, Mo and Spikes are similar shots, same brother, different mother maybe, but nonetheless, it's just a good overall composition here. So now I think this gives Tribe Gaming something to think about. They can play Otis mid as a flex, but into something like Max, it can be really pesky to deal with. Spawners seem to be their solution. So Charlie with the Cocoon is going to be able to put a Screeching Halt to max speeds, to Mo's dashing in your face. I think this is a really creative solution. It wasn't at the top of my mind, but I totally see where Tribe Gaming are coming from.
I agree. Charlie's definitely a good option here. Can deal with those aggro bowlers on the other side. Kind of was expecting Crow to do just that, but Charlie works well for that too. Tribe now finally needs to win a set, so we finally have a match. We do want to mention though, again, Tribe hasn't lost a single set in the monthly qualifiers and in their quarterfinals today, so Team ELEKTROS is the first team to even take a set off of them this month.
Hopefully Tribe are just getting their losses out of the way here, and they'll be coming back stronger because I feel like Team ELEKTROS are really showing them up here. And look at this, they already have mid control, but it's basically been offered to them. Doan with the super forward to get one kill. Not quite yet ready for that pass. Need to get Diego Gamer out of the way. No super, no nothing, not a spider in the world. Snoy rockets one in to get a goal for Team ELEKTROS within only 25 seconds.
Unbelievable stuff. I mean, just making light work of a monster in Tribe Gaming. Doan on the left-hand side was able to engage early. The faster you can charge up that super, the better. And they were very aware Diego Gamer is the one with the Cocoon. All they have to do is stop him. Now an opportunity, though. Hypercharge on the right-hand side. A cutoff from the fast ladder, but matched by one of Snoy's. Oh, he might be feeling dangerous here. Has a super in the back pocket. Now a dive in from Doan. Going for the hypercharge just for the ball. And 64 HP will keep Tribe Gaming alive in this game number 1.
Could have gone either way, really. 64 HP. I mean, might as well be 0. Just a coin toss of a difference there. Team ELEKTROS now have stormed mid once again. Looked like an overextension there from Diego Gamer. Didn't really expect to be run up on so quickly. He's respawned now, but he has to take the place of a weakened Luffy. On the right side, RBM slowed down, pummeled with even more damage. Does get that withdraw onto RBM. And of course, RBM falls there. Team ELEKTROS now assembling once more. Luffy sneaking around with a super on the right side. But he's kind of estranged from his team. Needs to connect with RBM in mid, ideally for a pinch versus Snoy. But Snoy's too wise about this position. Eventually does get pinched. Just didn't really have the support from Memon at mid. RBM attempts to get the kill, but it's no good for now. But finally, it looks like Tribe Gaming might have some positioning here.
Otis might have walked himself into a corner, but 2v1 situational Electra Spiderling. Now all these walls being torn apart. Not a thing that Team ELEKTROS can do. Frank just too powerful in those situations where he's at the mouth of the goal. He can just walk it in, but TE have plenty of utility in their back pocket. Purple buttons going down for them immediately. Doan diving in, RBM eliminated. Ball still in Luffy's hands, kicks it over the left-hand side, but it will fall into red arms. Diego Gamer staying alive, crucial, because now this is back in Tribe's side.
Snoy gets to move forward. He has possession of the bushes and the super. He was only one shot off. Blocks off RBM entirely. About to be a lot more terrain for Team ELEKTROS to work with and not as many walls for Tribe Gaming to hide behind, especially RBM. Here comes the countdown. Only a few seconds till the walls break and the hypercharge super is out. Snoy has the super, but there's nowhere to really pass it to. Back over to Memon. Oh my goodness, an attempt and a hasty one at that to get it into the goal. It could have if it weren't blocked by Diego Gamer. Now it's possession for Tribe Gaming. Doan has yet another super, but the ball finds itself in the clutches of Diego Gamer.
RBM fully distracted by the little rat on the bottom right of his screen. Now Snoy lobbing up shots from the long range. Needle grenades going down. As Max in the standstill will regenerate, waiting for the teammate here. Hypercharge super being popped. RBM can't cling on to any of the enemies. It's going to be a hammer hit, but not enough. The giant underground rat is able to move his way up the map, but the Cocoon will buy them some time.
Snoy, hypercharge active, hangs on just by a thread, has a super as disposal as well. The pass back up to Snoy, but he has to go retrieve it. Really want to get this one down the field. Pass up to Doan would be ideal. Now he has a super. Pass over to him, gets it in the goal. Bang for Team ELEKTROS to go to match point. What a daisy chain down the field. What team play.
Despite being in a situation where Tribe Gaming felt like they were able to punch one through, it's Team ELEKTROS shining. Just no matter the situation, this squad has found a way. It has been scrappy. This reminds me a lot of a match that we saw in SA. It just felt like every single time it wasn't perfect, but you just had to find a way to win amidst the chaos. And that's exactly what Team ELEKTROS are doing. They feel unfazed. It doesn't feel like the nerves have gotten to them at all. And now Tribe Gaming on their final life, just one game away from going down.
Pass over to Snowy once more, but he hasn't cleared out the left lane like he has in the past. Luffy is there to pinch out Snowy. Looks like it's going to ring true, but that nice super from Snowy blocks the attempt at a push in from Tribe Gaming. Tribe have to be so nervous right now. They're only one game away from dropping out of the monthly finals. In the semifinal versus these new faces in Team ELEKTROS. They're waiting for Team ELEKTROS to make the first move. They already went in with the speed. They've lost one of their number. They kind of have no choice but to move forward. An attempt at a super really falls flat. Doin is still going to be getting some serious damage onto RBM, but RBM is able to throw this ball away. He's able to keep Team ELEKTROS away from the goal.
Great punt out of Frank there. Gives Tribe the extra legs to now move forward. Cut off on the left-hand side as Snowy stays alive due to the life plant hypercharged super here. They're definitely intending to use it. Now a march forward. Purple button available for Snowy. Dribbling, executing. Now a dive in from Doan. Ooh, just off the mark a little bit. Gets stuffed with a Charlie spawner as well. Life plant there to keep Snowy afloat. A little bit of body blocking there. This could be a cheeky attempt at a goal. Instead, though, it's going to be Memon trying to punch one through. Luffy on the line, trying to stop it. Bouncing up and down as RBM will finally cling to it and dump it on this right-hand side.
RBM, where does he really have to go? Doesn't want to feed the super to Doan because he knows that that could be a super. On the left side, Snowy blocks the mute from Luffy. That's a huge move, total waste of a super. And look how low Tribe Gaming are. RBM, of course, is in possession of the ball. If they can just get away from him, that would be their ticket to a goal. That doesn't ring true for now. Team ELEKTROS are gradually falling back at mid. Memon on his last bit of HP. Doan makes a huge breakaway forward, but Memon still cannot get this ball over to him. Broken walls do not spell victory here for Tribe Gaming. A shot from midfield could secure it for Team ELEKTROS.
The Mo pick really showing why it had some value here. Full defense, though. It's going to be a box on the top left-hand side. They're castling that ball as Snowy fully executing defense as overtime starts to collapse on them. Tribe Gaming have the numbers. Now down to a 3v1. Hammer hit galore. Purple buttons everywhere. And Luffy punches one in with 5 seconds to go. Even with a max super, not enough time for Team ELEKTROS to respond. NA's Giants still remain.
They've finally been interrupted for a moment. They'll have to take a breath and consider what went wrong. Team ELEKTROS seemed invincible up until this point. Of course, a whole lot of questions surrounding them and what level they're really playing at. Doesn't seem like they're really phased. No reaction change for pretty much the entire match so far. Just sitting down, playing Brawlstars like any other day. Pretend it's just a Saturday morning Maturino versus Tribe Gaming. But now you're on the big stage. Have to wonder whether they're feeling the pressure just yet, because it doesn't really look like they are. It's going to be a snag onto Doin. Excellently aimed super from RBM. Tribe Gaming moving up the field, unlike how they've played in the previous games.
RBM, ooh, I feel like maybe have an opportunity. No, they're patient. Oh, that is devastating, but it's a mistake. They get too greedy. RBM now has to punch this one up. It's an ugly pass over. Diego Gamer still punches it through. A little cheeky, though. I think they knew they had the goal, but one missed pass could have been devastating. That could have cost them for sure.
Yeah, not pretty. Team ELEKTROS totally could have recovered that if they'd expected such mistakes from Tribe Gaming. Diego Gamer's trying to make a solo play. Looks like it's going to work out. That's a Cocoon over to the right side, and no one to defend it. Tribe Gaming finally get a foothold on this match. The streak of Team ELEKTROS has been ground to a halt. They won 5 sets in a row, and they'll finally take their first loss.
This is officially a fight. Team ELEKTROS have now been punched in the mouth, so at least they're looking a little more alive. Can't just go on autopilot anymore. This is a huge thing in sports psychology in general. A lot of pro athletes, especially ones in basketball or in sports with series to win a championship, similar to our monthly final structure, winning the last one is often seen as the hardest. And this is the first time Team ELEKTROS really have had that pressure on them. They're facing against Tribe Gaming, the roster of last year that was dominating this region. It felt like every single month, all grand finals for them. It would be abnormal. It would be insane if in the opener of 2026, Tribe Gaming were somehow stopped. I'm sure Team ELEKTROS feel that. You could see a little jitters. Even Tribe Gaming were making mistakes. But nonetheless, still alive, still well, and Tribe Gaming have given themselves a chance.
Tribe Gaming finally woke up, but honestly, I feel like I'm watching an East Asian team, but with the discipline of a seasoned EMA team. This does not look like a team of rookies at all on the other side. this set just as well. Team ELEKTROS looked super, super strong. Tribe Gaming is finally, doing something against it. RBM, star player before already, now looking fairly strong on that Frank as well. But yeah, on the other side, I don't see NA player usually with this movement, and we finally have no 3-0. We finally have a match in our hands already. I'm gonna enjoy my popcorn over here. I'm ready for the next set.
I'm ready to get on with set 4 as well, because I've been waiting to see this win streak be interrupted. I really thought it could be ended quickly. We were looking at a match point also really, really scary there. Maybe a new era could have come in for Team ELEKTROS.
Yeah, you just take that off. No, you do your thing.
We'll do the hard work.
Cheers.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm excited for this too, though. This is the first time we're going to see Team ELEKTROS really tested today. They had some close sets in the opening match that they had, but they still ended up winning all 3 of them. And now as we approach knockout, completely different ball game. Tribe Gaming with a little life under them, a little electricity in their veins. I'm curious to see how Tribe Gaming also respond to this, because they're the veterans. They're the ones that faced some devastating results last year. Can they overcome the mental hurdle? If that's something that they prove in this opening month, it could set up and change the entire outcome of the future, especially this first split.
Finally have a set 4 on our hands. Super excited for this one. Can Tribe Gaming continue like this? Can they make it a reverse sweep? Is the question now in everyone's heads. The vote on the website probably also swaying towards Tribe Gaming here. Only Kenny and me, we believe in this young roster. I really feel like, we haven't seen something like this in quite some time. It does remind of Gesty, but I don't want to make too many comparisons here. They're their own team. There's actually 3 new players on this roster, and they're looking so, so strong. Great movement, super disciplined, and even Tribe is struggling. Once more, Tribe hasn't dropped a single set this month except to this roster.
I'll tell you what, I'm still waiting on Team ELEKTROS to really prove that they've got what it takes to beat Tribe Gaming before I put them as one of the front runners in North America. I'll say whoever wins this semifinal, I predict will win the entire monthly final. So if that's Team ELEKTROS, I'm riding with Team ELEKTROS just because I think they've had such a difficult side of the bracket. I would weight the upper side of today's monthly final bracket above the bottom side. And Team ELEKTROS, this is really a trial by fire for them. So far, they've been, doing pretty well. Tribe Gaming so far in this match, they're treading water also.
But this could have been the moment where they wake up, they get things in motion, and they continue like it. Maybe this is still a reverse sweep. We have Rico and Spike come in here, no surprises. Once more, Spike not banned out, immediately picked up. Both of those teams really valued this brawler quite highly. Rico is one of those brawlers we see quite often on Bells Rock specifically. Gray is one that we see even more often. RT, also a knockout classic. Those 2 brawlers could definitely still come in handy.
Standard bans on this map throughout monthly qualifiers for North America were usually Pierce, Gray, and Rico, but it's really shifted. I think teams feeling a little more comfortable about dealing with Rico. I think that's why you're going to see some of those bans coming in from the right-hand side. I think Snowy and his teammates fully intended to be able to grab Rico. That's why you're going to see Sprout. Brawler that typically is a thrower is going to do well into Rico. Brock can break walls. Meeple, of course, with the cutoff. So I think this is something that Tribe fully anticipated, and nonetheless, Team ELEKTROS was still fully comfortable clicking.
Next selection on the side of Team ELEKTROS, they do have to be concerned about any sort of wall break. Gray is still a totally viable option. You are able to play around this. Rico can sit in a position where he's not going to get pulled easily, but he really wanted this Rico pick because they banned Sprout, which is like an actual F-tier brawler at the moment, but it's one of the best ways to deal with Rico hard stop. They're also considering the possibility of a tick last election, but look how hard they're playing around these walls. They've gone with 2 brawlers that depend so much on these walls. Both Ollie and Rico need those walls to survive. So how do they enable the Ollie? Byron's a viable selection if they just want to keep someone on life support, get a solid lane out here.
Enjoy.
And there's Byron.
Treat.
Yeah, it just makes sense, basically. Keep that Ollie alive.
Yeah, I didn't mind your thrower idea either. Tick is open, is a strong brawler in a map like this one, but I do prefer that they pick something to back up that Ollie. Byron or also Gus would have been viable options here. Gus could now also be picked up from the other side. They already have a lot of damage with the RT and Spike, so they don't necessarily need a lot of DPS. Could also go with something aggressive themselves now. We still have some options open there too, with Mortis, one of the Buffy brawlers, not being banned out here.
Check out my guns.
It's going to be cold.
Never mind.
Wallbreaker.
Okay. Yeah, Wallbreaker. I think this is kind of what it comes down to for them. Now they can expose Ollie a little bit. Rico has less lanes. It's kind of a cheeky phrase, but a lot of the times in these open maps, players will call Rico just a worse Colt.
Yeah.
Because they're both DPS brawlers, a lot of projectile speed, and as a result, Colt will have an advantage.
He should. Yeah, has those buffies at his disposal. If he decides he's going to use Silver Bullet, you know, he can steal some ammo, keep marching forward, or rather the reload gadget, I should correct myself. So Colt can be this unstoppable force forward if he is permitted to do so, but he's going to have to earn that wall break. Could this be a reverse sweep in progress? Tribe Gaming have gotten one set on the board. Team ELEKTROS look like they might sweep through these typical first-place players in North America.
Lemon early on going to struggle. Has to rely on the indestructibles on the right-hand side. Luffy with wide open space. RBM handling Byron. Now a needle grenade and a little extra with that super going down. Fertilize. Going to be the star power of choice for Diego Gamer. Makes sense when you see a tank on the other side.
Memon moves forward. Luffy has lost a lot of his walls here, but he was smart to get rid of those ones on the sides, because Memon would be able to fire a super down there and pretty much exterminate anything is sitting within those borders. We'll see another wall break over towards the left side. Diego Gamer has just so much territory upon which to reign. Meanwhile, on the right side, however, Snoy has been dominating this matchup versus RBM. He has a super already, and it's going to be incredible for a kill confirm. Look at the room that they're taking up. It really doesn't even matter. The Brawlers? No, who cares? They've just been dodging the shots and winning on the 1v1s.
They're not even going to allow Diego Gamer to charge super, and as a result, Memon gets a few extra tags with the bouncy bullets. Guess who's got a hypercharge waiting for round number 2? Not only do Team ELEKTROS take the first, they've now got so much power walking into the next.
When they asked people in the competitive scene about what they think of these players on Team ELEKTROS, they said they just don't make mistakes. You have to best them in the draft, and right now Team ELEKTROS have actually made quite a big mistake whiffing that Rico super. RBM can't get close enough to Memon to use his super. That is going to be a kill on the bottom side. However, Luffy looks for the kill. Is a little bit hairy. Doin at mid will get the jump on Diego Gamer. Luffy on the top side strafes properly. It's a 1v1 between Doin and Luffy, but I think we know how this one goes.
This is going to be a dance of Doin just trying to recharge and time this right, because he doesn't want to leave Luffy with too much space. He's not allowing him to regain health points, and now Doin going to be pressing against this L-shaped wall on the top-hand side. Colt forced away in the closed space, not where he is going to thrive. In this one-on-one interaction, Luffy has been tasked with an awful lot.
So tense. Doin, a player that I've heard is the most skilled on the team. The same goes for Luffy, one of the core players. Really needs this damage, but Doin's just playing with his food. Gets a hypnosis. How long were you hanging on to that, man? He had that for several seconds, just playing with his food.
Not revealing when he was going to click it either. A little mind game going down, and now a match point for the young roster. North America has been dominated by Tribe Gaming. Last year, there were roughly 2 teams outside of, at the time, Bobby's roster, now KDS. Every other time, it was this roster in the grand finals. And already in 2026, they're in danger of losing that spot. That is a wild thing. That is a huge, monumental shift potentially in this region unfolding before our very eyes.
It's match point for Team ELEKTROS, 1 game to win it, and they did it in the last one in such an incredible fashion. 2 rounds. And that's going to be the first kill, in fact, coming in from Luffy, but it is an exchange. It's 2v2 now. With the walls broken down, Luffy can still assert his dominance, but it's quite difficult. He's basically in a Colt 1v1. He has more DPS. He's able to break down the walls, but he obviously doesn't feel too confident since he's not approaching Memon too quickly.
Snoy running the piercing star power as well, so it will go through that life plant. That's a large choice for why they're laning Byron on that right-hand side, despite maybe a slightly tougher one for Memon. Again, it's just a much more difficult version of Colt. Instead, though, he's getting empowered. Snoy landing a shot as well. Luffy, a goner for this world as Memon charges himself up with some heals as well. It's the go time. Snoy can hold on. Diego Gamer doing his best, but in this 2v1 interaction, just won't happen. TE, 1 away from taking the match.
It's 1 round. Are you down to your final life, Tribe Gaming? What would you do if you have 1 chance to win it? Something that you could not safeguard yourself against this time, but they made their way to the grand finals every single month. Last year, they switched up some matchups as well. RBN going heavy on this left side, but they're fighting mostly 1v1s, and I think that's where things really fall apart for Tribe Gaming, is they're not playing as a team.
Walls go down, but the 6-shooter won't connect with a single member of TE. It's Snoy moving to win up this map as Memon gets charged up, a hypercharge going down. No contact there, but Tribe Gaming forced down to the shallow side of their spawn. It's going to be shots still incoming as they'll rotate on the left-hand side. Diego Gamer using the life plant. Snoy from the distance, trying to rely on these shots, and now a hypercharge for Diego Gamer. He knows they have to make something happen here. All of a sudden, floor has been spaced out for TE.
Doin equipped with the super, getting all the heals in the world. It's Diego Gamer the first to fall. 3 versus 2. It's a death sentence for Tribe Gaming. How do they get their way out of this one? The inaugural damage comes in from Snoy with super down. Luffy forced against the wall. Arbian, the last one remaining. And reality starting to set in. The pins up to the air, the spins. And that is the new reality of North America. Team ELEKTROS and the grand finals. Rookies making a splash.
Temperatures increased in North America. NA's new hotness, turns out, is a cut above the rest. The future is now in 2026. You're seeing it around the world. And these rookie sensations, Snoy, been around for a little bit, played in some qualifiers even, but waited, was patient, wanted to get the right teammates in place. And now it seems like he's got a trio worth taking the top of North America.
Is this the future of North America? We said the same last year about Tribe Gaming, where they repeatedly made it to the grand finals, took #1 4 out of the 6 months. And now we have seen them bested in just the first competition of the year and seem to be even stronger now that they had Diego Gamer, strictly stronger now that they were aligned on objectives and training regimens.
Tribe Gaming looked phenomenal today in the quarterfinals, a 3-0 sweep in the qualifiers as well. But nobody can beat Team ELEKTROS today.